So my name is Maria. We're going to talk about adverb and conjunctive adverbs today. So our objective is I can identify and explain the function of adverbs and conjunctive adverbs in K-5 literacy development. I can design breakdown instructions for adverbs across tiers 1 to 3 to support diverse learners, and I can implement strategies that leverage students' home languages when teaching adverbial concepts. So what's an adverb? It's a word or an expression that generally modifies the verbs, adjective, or adverbs expressing a relation of the time, place, and circumstances. First, an example of an adverb is she spoke softly. The adverb will be softly. She ran slowly. The adverb will be slowly. Some modifications you can use in the classroom will be using visual aids, gestures, and movement so that those who don't understand or need more help can have a visual aid of what they're hearing. So an example of this is that a teacher in one of the classrooms made two students enter the classroom without telling the class what they were doing. He just told them to observe. So it was one classroom got one student got in, and then the classroom observed, and then the other one got in the classroom, and then the students observed. And then after this, the teacher asked the class how each of the students who entered the classroom. So the students could be, he entered the classroom quickly, he entered the classroom slowly, he entered the classroom quietly, or giggling. So that would be like some of the adverbs they can use. Some students might not use adverbs, and some students can use adverbs. So this can be used like an example for like at the start of your unit to know who knows adverbs and which students need more help with the adverbs. And this could also be used at the end of the lesson or the unit whenever you already taught them about adverbs, how well they use it, and how well they learn adverbs. What is a conjunctive adverb? It's a linking ideas between two independent clauses. It's a relationship such as a cause and effect, contrast, addition, or a sequence. So here, the conjunctive adverbs could be however, therefore, meanwhile, consequently, or otherwise. An example of this is Jeremy kept talking in class. Therefore, he got in trouble. And the therefore showed that because he was talking in class, he got in trouble. But if we change that, it could be Jeremy kept talking in class. However, he did not get in trouble. And that changes the whole meaning of the sentence. Some modification you can use would be storytelling and a simple combination of sentences without having a lot of hard words that some of the students might not understand. So a way that we can explain this is in a short form video, and according to Grammarflip, it is a great way to review grammar concepts, and it's a short video that explains what a conjunctive adverb is, and here's the video.
How are we all doing today? Well, in this lesson, let's talk about conjunctive adverbs. A conjunctive adverb is simply an adverb that connects two clauses. It's punctuated with a semicolon before it and a comma after it. A few common examples are the following: however, therefore, consequently, nevertheless, and furthermore. There are plenty.
So this shows how this video will show the students what grammar they need to use and what are the words, and then some examples that they could use. So what are the 5 pillars of literacy? The 5 pillars of literacy are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So for phonemic awareness is hearing sounds in words. For phonics is linking sounds to letters. Fluency is reading with speed, accuracy, and expression. Vocabulary is understanding and using words, and comprehension is making meaning from text. So for phonemic awareness, it will be clapping syllables like quickly, suddenly. For phonics, will be decoding new adverbs by using familiar phonics like li, ali, and ali, like quickly, rapidly. For comprehension, is being able to show how conjunctive adverbs change the meaning of the story, like the example I showed before, how the however and therefore changes the whole meaning of the story. For fluency, is being able to read adverbs, rich sentences with expression, and vocabulary is sort adverbs by meaning, like they are adverbs from time, manner, or expression. So students need to know which ones are for time, for manner, and for expression to be able to have a clear and comprehensive sentence. So for differentiation is that for tier 1, it's a whole group introduction or instruction, which will be used with anchor charts, read alouds, or sentence games. And for tier 2 students will be for a smaller group. It could be from your high learners to your medium learners to your low learners, and you can use harder like worksheets for your high, and you need more help for your lower students. It could be visual, sentence building, cards. And for your tier 3 students, which are intensive intervention with individualized, it will be one-on-one with the teacher, simplified visual, oral language practice. And this could also vary from where your student is, if they're in a high learning or in a low learning or in a medium learning. And this could also depends on the amount of work they're going to use or the amount of worksheets you're going to use. So it all depends on how you're doing the classroom and how you're dividing each student and how well they know adverbs and conjunctive adverbs. For culturally strategies is that you can collect adverbs from home languages. Like if they're from another part of the world, you can search out from adverbs from where they are, so you can explain and you can like connect with them. And second will be create a multilingual adverb wall, which connects to the first one, where you use those adverbs that you found and put it on the wall, so like the students can also feel identified with what they're doing. Third will be comparing how different cultures use adverbs in expression, because not in the same culture you can use the same adverb. So one adverb in one part of the world could be used like this, and then you have another part of the world it could be used differently. So students might get confused. So you need to be able to break down the wall and explain to them that it's the same thing, you just need to use it differently. And for 4, it'll be cultural perspective on time, manner, and place. It's like the same as the third one. It'll be like in some places you can use words for time, for manner, and place, but in another part it could be used differently. So you need to like also break down the wall and explain to them that the way they have to use it. For assessment strategies, it'll be formative. It could be at the beginning or in the middle of the unit you're teaching or even the lesson. It'll be exit tickets, quick writing using conjunctive adverbs, partner discussing about the function of adverbs, and you can use exit tickets for the end of the class, and you can use it for every single class, but you can also use it for like 1 time a week, so you know what they're learning and if they're learning. Quick writing using conjunctive adverbs could be done as also like an activity in the classroom. Whenever you are like done with your teaching, you could do an activity, and then that activity could be the quick writing, and then you do a game with them after that. Or a partner discussion could be also in the middle of the lesson. Whenever you're asking a question, you can say partner up and discuss, and then tell me what you learned. And that could also be the formative assessment, where you're not giving them a grade, but you're seeing if what you just taught them, they understand what is it, like what you taught. For summative assessment will be adverb identification in text, where you give them a text and they identify the adverb. They could be like circling the adverb or explaining what the adverb is, and if they could be like use a different adverb to say the same thing. Another one will be writing sample with the correct usage of adverbs. And the other one is an oral presentation in groups or independently using adverbs, which could be a presentation where they explain an adverb or they use adverbs, and it could be in groups to make it more of a tier 2 example, or it could be independently where you try for them to show a word or explain something of an adverb, and that's how you're going to grade them if they understood what you were talking about in the whole unit. This will be at the end of the unit to be able to like all of the learning that they had, they could be applied on whatever they're doing, like the adverb in the text or the writing or even the presentation. For literature examples, it will be 3 books that you can use. You can use other books, but these are the ones that I found, which are Quick as Crickets, Slowly, 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 and Meanwhile. All of these use a lot of adverbs. They could be used to lower to higher grades, such as 5th grade, because there are picture books, but these are some of the pictures of Quick as Cricket, Slowly, 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 and Meanwhile, and they can all be used to learn adverbs, because most of the words that are used as adverbs, and such like slowly, 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 they're all adverbs. Some of the digital activities, some of the digital things you can use in your classroom is recording to practice, which is students record themselves saying adverbs and just like listening to how they're pronounced. And sometimes like ESL students can have difficulties pronouncing some of the words. So the more they practice, the easier it gets for them to identify the word and being able to say it correctly. So recording them could be a great help for them to listen to themselves and then correcting however they are saying the word, and then they could also listen to other classmates say it, and then they could learn from that. Another is the virtual words wall, which is the same as the wall you're going to use in the classroom, but it's virtually. So students can add to it. Maybe you are going to use the virtual for like the classroom, and then the one in the classroom for the classroom, and then the virtual could be whenever they're home and they don't have like the board, they can use the virtual to like be able to complete their assessment or their assignments, and they can use the virtual wall. For activities, it'll be K-1, it'll be an adverb action games where they will start out how, when, where. For 2 to 3rd grade, it'll be adverb scavenger hunt, and that will explain more later. But for 4th to 5th grade, it'll be conjunctive adverb sentences combining. It could be a paragraph revision where you give them a paragraph and they have to revise if it is using the correct conjunctive adverbs or even the correct verbs in the correct way. For some of the resources, like I said, is the word wall or an adverb on time, which is a game that could be used for lower grades, which is a game where you have to identify the adverb and the time. Some of the worksheet you can use is a worksheet where you give them to fill in the blanks and the words are already given there, but like let's get ready for the party quickly, and I have to think about my New Year resolution carefully. So it's like explaining to them and just letting them do the worksheet. And then another one is, instead of like filling the blank, will be circling what the adverb is. An example is the tall player quickly jumped from the ball, and the answer will be quickly, so they just circle quickly. Or for the boy calmly took his test, and the adverb will be calmly, because that's what the adverb is in the sentence. So one of the implementation plan could be, for the implementation plan would be, this is also used from a teacher from a classroom where they gave what they did to teach adverbs, and it'll be first acted out, which is the teacher will give some other words like quickly, slowly, bravely, carefully, loudly, quietly, gently, happily, and then the students have to act it out, and it's like the verb they're learning. It could be in a group or as a whole classroom where the teacher calls out one student and they have to act it out, and then the whole class have to identify what the student adverb is. The second one is partner writing, which is students will find adverbs and verbs together, and then they will use both of this and create a sentences. And it's like one comes up with a verb and then the other one comes up with the adverb, and then they get it together and create a sentence. Another one is a scavenger hunt, which is students will look for both adverbs and adjectives around the classroom, and if they could create sentences, or they just can like find it out. It could be that you hid adjectives and adverbs around the classroom, or it could just be that students find around the classroom adverbs and adjectives that you did not hit, but they're just like visible around the classroom. Another one is sentence grab bag, which is there will be 3 bags, one with adverbs, one with verbs, and one with nouns. And then the students have to like take one of each, and then they have to create a sentence with the 3 words they get. This could be done in partners and in groups, or individually, but they specifically have to use the 3 words that they get out to be able to complete the sentence. Also, I can use adjectives to describe nouns, and I can use adverbs to describe verbs. This is another worksheet to use. Like I see a large dinosaur, and then he walked carefully. Large is an adjective, dinosaur is a noun, and then walked is a verb, and the adverb is carefully. So, to implement the Bible, there are double as many different languages in the world, and none is without a meaning, which is in 1 Corinthians 14:10, which means that we have to teach students, even though they're learning a specific language in the classroom, we have to teach that none of the other languages have no meaning. So that's why we have to implement the other languages in the classroom, to be able to show the students that even though they're struggling in the second language they're learning, their first language is still important.